core purpose is there to get people to think about and be passionate about, hey, this is why I wake up and go do this every single day. All right, welcome to episode number 2 of On the Verge, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers podcast, where we interview and talk to people about just ordinary people that get extraordinary results. I'm Danny Daniel.
Yeah, I'm Jonathan Stark.
And today we have our very first ever guest. Wesley is the integrator at Daniel Stark. Other people may recognize that more by the title of Chief Operating Officer. So we're glad to have you here, Wes.
Glad to be here.
You are operating a pretty large organization with 170 total team members. We have 40 lawyers now, Jonathan.
Somewhere around
Somewhere
that
in
number.
there.
Yeah.
Close. So yeah, kudos to you because you do an excellent job.
Thank you.
So we're going to get started here with just the topic is about core purpose, and at Daniel Stark we have a core purpose of keeping our clients from getting screwed by big insurance.
That's right.
And we got that purpose early on. We came up with that purpose I think it was about 2009 because, Jonathan and I, we got started when we were just us two. We really didn't need a core purpose. I think we had that core purpose in our heart, but we didn't talk about it, right?
No, it was one of those things. We're just going to go be lawyers, and we knew the kind of lawyers we wanted to be, right? We wanted to protect people who had been injured through no fault of their own, and so. When you're a tiny organization with just the founders or maybe the founders and a handful of employees, then things like culture and core purpose they're just not top of mind because you're all together all the time. It's just
there's no real communication breakdowns. It's not me to you to 5 other people. It's just me to you, and then it was me to you to somebody else, and that there's not that much breakdown there. But I think
it was impossible to have a breakdown. Our office was so small, I could hear every word you said to anybody you were talking to. So we were always on the same page.
That's true. Yeah. So as we got bigger, and I think it was when we opened our second office in Bryan College Station, because we started up in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's when we started really thinking about, hey, we need to operate this more like a business because we were getting bigger. We'd gone on TV, so we were signing up, a number of cases every month. We were, obviously just getting to be on the verge.
That's right.
We were getting those cases and those opportunities. And I remember reading Rockefeller Habits, and that's where I was introduced to the topic of, okay, you need a core purpose.
That's right.
They talked about a 1-page plan in that book. And part of the 1-page plan was a core purpose. And I can remember, and Wes, I know you know a lot about core purpose. You're an avid reader, and there are these various businesses that have core purposes that are really good. And do you have any that come to mind, like some of your favorite large companies that have a really good core purpose?
Well, I like to think like Disney is one that comes to mind that everybody knows, and that's to make people happy. And when you go to Disney, they are thinking of everything top to bottom that makes your experience happy. I mean, they're thinking of all 5 senses, anything that would bring you whimsy and joy. I mean, they're incredible. Your whole experience is literally magical. And you're like, wow, I would never even think to pump a smell into a ride.
Yeah.
So I would think of something like Disney.
Disney's a great example, and their core purpose of making people happy, giving that great experience, that bleeds to all of their team members. I don't know how many they have, thousands.
Yes.
Tens of hundreds of
thousands.
thousands.
Yes.
But a core purpose is there to get people to think about and be passionate about, hey, this is why I wake up and go do this every single day. So I could really see people going, man, I love coming to work and making people's day, right? So Disney's a great one. There was one I remember when we first started this. I think it was Method Soap. And because how can a soap company have a good purpose that inspires their team to come to work and be passionate about? But theirs was really good because it was, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about we were going to save the environment.
That's right.
Because they did not want to pollute the environment with the residue coming off of their soap, and so they created a natural soap brand. And we have that soap in our house.
Yeah, they've been very successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, again, it's just a really good core purpose that people could get behind. So at Daniel Stark, ours is to keep people from getting screwed by big insurance. And it's an internal core purpose that we really didn't share externally for a number of years until...
It was an accident, really.
It was. And, you know, we were a little concerned about sharing it because, I mean, screwed could be seen as a dirty word. We had young kids, too. So I was a little concerned. I didn't want my daughter to hear me say screwed, you know. And
yeah, it's funny looking back. Our kids are old enough now that's pretty tame. But, yeah, at the time it was we didn't want to offend people or to come across as unprofessional. But internally there was no nice way to say what happens to people who've been injured and they're dealing with an insurance company without a lawyer. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna get screwed. And so it was a strong internal purpose that was easy to rally our team around, but we were a little hesitant to share it externally.
Yeah. So, and I do, everybody that works with Daniel Stark is passionate about that purpose. They know and believe in their heart that if you're injured at no fault of your own and you're battling against an insurance company for full value on your case, you're not going to get it without a lawyer.
No, you're going to get screwed.
Actually, you're not going to get it without a really good lawyer.
That's right.
That's what it comes down to. And so we did share this unintentionally, externally to the public at one point because Jonathan was being interviewed by a journalist from Money for Lunch, I think was the radio show. And I don't even remember. I think he wanted to talk to you about a case.
You know, it's funny because as I look back, the one thing that stands out was the introduction. So I can't remember exactly the purpose of the interview originally, but it was a CNN radio show, Money for Lunch, way back in the day. And, you know, they wanted a bio, an introduction. And those are not fun to write for yourself. It feels awkward, right? And so I asked one of our team members at the time, Steve Tinkle. I'm actually having breakfast with Steve tomorrow. But I asked Steve to write my introduction for me and send it to the radio show host, and he did. And I probably should have read it before before I heard it live on the radio for the first time. But I'll never forget the radio host introducing me, and you know, Jonathan Stark, one of the founding partners of Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, whose purpose is to keep clients from getting screwed by big insurance companies. And the host of the show literally giggled and goes, "Wow, that's professional."
That's professional.
And then he reads the rest of my introduction that Steve wrote. So this is how this live radio show.
This is a national show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is how it begins. And so he gets through with the introduction. He says, "Welcome, Jonathan Stark." And I couldn't help myself. I said, "Hey, thank you, and let's talk about that purpose."
Yeah, you had to go ahead.
Yeah.
And,
I have no idea.
Your dad used to say something. If you're gonna, what was it?
If you touch it, you massage it. Yeah.
That's not the one I was thinking about, but the one I was thinking about may not be appropriate.
Yeah,
Keep going.
if it was for my dad, it probably was. But I said, okay, hey, let's talk about that purpose. I have no idea what the point of that show was going to be, but the entirety of it became about the purpose at Daniel Stark. And by the end of the show, the radio host understood clearly why it is that people needed to hire an attorney, a good attorney, if they had been injured and they were battling an insurance company. I know he believed it because, number one, he told me on the radio show that he believed it. But number two, when his wife was in a wreck 6 months later, he called us and hired us to represent her because he knew that purpose is something that motivates our company to get the results that he wanted for his own wife when they were in that situation.
Well, I remember one of the great things that you said was, hey, I mean, I could have used a much more inappropriate four-letter word because that's truly the way we feel about it.
It is.
Right?
It is. So it's what happens. And it shouldn't, but it is. It's.
Well, we would be out of business if insurance companies would just treat people
Yeah, and that's fine. There's plenty of work for lawyers out there. We go find something else to do. But I'm not polishing up a resume anytime soon.
No. So we've got the core purpose. It went public. The reason we have it is to keep our team rallied around this purpose, fighting for our clients. And, you know, how I want to talk to Wes. So, Wes, you're here. We want to talk to you about how you help us keep this purpose alive when we have so many team members?
I think it starts with who we want to be. So we keep it alive, one, at the very beginning in our hiring process. If people can't get on board with who we are, because everybody in our organization lives this out every day, like, you need to keep it alive in your everyday work. You're not going to join our team, full stop. So we start at the beginning, and then we talk about it all the time. We're living it out when we're having a huge win. We're celebrating how we kept our clients from getting screwed by celebrating when we have huge verdicts, huge settlements. In fact, this week we had a team have a huge win for a client, and they came and rang the gong, which is maybe a totally different episode, but we're doing it at quarterly planning. We're telling stories about how insurance companies tried to screw our clients over and how our attorneys got full value on cases. So we're trying to keep it alive throughout the whole process, all the time, every day. I can make it really personal for me. It's almost emotional when I hear us talking about our purpose, because when you hear what the insurance companies do to our clients, and you can hear it every day. You can walk down the hallway and hear our paralegals and our attorneys talking to the clients and listen to how it's impacting their lives, or what the insurance adjusters tried to do before they hired us, or our new client team gathering those pieces of information. And it is appalling. And so it's easy, and it's emotional, and it's visceral. And so it feels inspirational every day for me to walk by and hear that stuff. And you can just stand out on the floor every day and hear that. So our team, it's almost like we don't have to work at living out our purpose because it's so impactful.
Well, that's awesome to hear. It gives me kind of little chill bumps here, because I remember Jonathan and I worked hard to create a purpose that would inspire people, to get them fired up.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. And to hear that it's kind of easy to do, that makes me know we picked the right core purpose. And I think it's not an easy thing to do. No. And I think it's hard to come up with a core purpose. I mean, Jonathan and I have another business, Legal Monkeys, that we started a number of years ago, and then ultimately sold most of that company, and then actually just restarted it.
That's right.
Within the last 6 months or so to get it re-going. But, in that company, it's just a little harder because they're a little more removed from their customer. And so it's a real blessing to have a core purpose that's really, really meaningful. And you may not be an expert in creating core purposes, but do you have anything for the audience that could help them create a core purpose for their own business? How would they go about doing that?
Well, you've already mentioned Rockefeller Habits, and then I know EOS has tools that they go through.
What's EOS, Wes?
That's the entrepreneurial operating system. So there's different methods you can go through for what's right for your business, and that's probably at least a whole day's worth of work for what's right for your business. I don't think we can cover each one of those steps in there.
No, I agree. Those are good resources, either the Rockefeller Habits or EOS. I think the book Traction by Gino Wickman talks about purpose. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's something you got to think hard about. And I know with ours getting screwed by big insurance, that was kind of like, wow, but that's the way we felt, right?
It's what we knew. It's what we knew to be true. And when you look at things like the Insurance Institute's own studies that show people with a lawyer get 3.5 times more money for the same facts, same basic facts. They get 3.5 times more money than people without a lawyer.
Right.
Like, why is that? I mean, how can you explain that other than these insurance companies taking advantage of people who choose to go it alone? Mm-hmm. And it's just, I mean, I agree that it can be hard finding your core purpose. I mean, there's consultants out there that make a good living on coming in and helping companies go through a discovery process to find their core purpose. But I think for Daniel Stark, it was always just right under the surface. It's one of those things that you can't represent people and see these insurance games over and over and over and not know that if you're not there, they're getting screwed. Yeah. I mean, think about this. Somebody has a wreck. What if you're unlucky? You might have 2 or 3 your entire life. That would be a pretty unlucky individual. Well, you've got these insurance adjusters that in their first year of work, they're going to have handled hundreds, if not thousands, of claims. And so I don't care if you're talking about checkers, chess, Uno. It doesn't. I mean, pick a game. If you've played once or twice your entire life and you're going up against somebody that's played hundreds or thousands of times, you're going to lose. But at least in those games, the rules are published. You open the Uno card deck, and you first thing you pull out is a little pamphlet that gives you the rules.
Yep.
The insurance company doesn't publish their rules, and they change their rules, and they ain't got to tell anybody that they changed their rules. And so somebody thinking that they're going to have a fair fight in a game where they don't even know the rules and they're going against somebody who's played hundreds or thousands of times more than them, I mean, you're right. Screwed is a really nice way to say what happens. And so for us, discovering the purpose was important, but I wouldn't say it was particularly hard.
No, it really wasn't that hard for us, and that's a blessing. And I know ours is on point for our team. I'll just go to Legal Monkeys because, in our other company, because they're somewhat removed from their actual customer, it was a lot harder. But, we ended up with a good one, of Find a Better Way.
That's right.
And our team over there is inspired to find a better way. And it's a tech-enabled services company that services plaintiff law firms. And so finding a better way for law firms to do their work is inspiring for our team. They're very techy, and so they're constantly looking for ways to become more efficient and help law firms be more efficient. And so that actually works for them. But I know it can be a challenge for entrepreneurs out there to find a purpose. I think the things we've covered are good. It really wasn't that critical until we hit a certain mass. I think that's really about 8 or 10 individuals working in a company. And then after that, it has to absolutely be inspiring. It has to inspire people to want to get up and go to work and do the thing they do. Because when you have a good purpose, it sure makes work a lot more fun.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Danny, I know one of the things that we do at least annually is we ask the question, is this still the right core purpose? And so, I think for those companies where it may be a little bit more of a discovery process to uncover what their core purpose is, just don't be afraid to keep asking the question, did we get it right? Because there will be a moment where you're like, absolutely, hell yes, this is it, it's right. And so I would just say if you have a core purpose and maybe it just doesn't feel like you've nailed it, just keep iterating. And, anything worth doing is worth doing wrong.
Sure.
So keep doing it wrong until you get it right. And when you do, celebrate it and let it motivate everything you do as an organization. That's what happens at Daniel Stark.
Well, I think for a lot of, especially entrepreneurs where they're like, is it worth it? Is this worth my time, effort, and money? The answer is yes. What are the advantages of having this? Why do I need a good culture? Why do I need a purpose? Why does this matter? So when your employees are inspired, they're giving more. And so you're seeing a lot of dividends in their work ethic. They're staying longer. You have higher institutional knowledge, and their output is also greater. So if you're wondering why you want to do this, why is this good for your business? It's because you're going to get more out of your team.
I love what you're saying about the team. I love Daniel Pink's book, Drive. I read that a number of years ago, but there's 3 takeaways I got out of that book, which was, if you'll provide, you got to take money off the table for your team.
Right.
I mean, you do.
Fair compensation.
But after that, if you'll provide them with autonomy, something to master, and a purpose, then it creates a lot of satisfaction in work life. And so you say that, it is a lot of work, though. I mean, when you take either a one-page plan, which is a roadmap, or a VTO, Vision Traction Organizer, via, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, either one of them, they're really 2 very similar documents. But to truly get all of the things, core purpose is just one part of that roadmap. But to truly take the time to get each and every one of those boxes filled with something that's truly meaningful for a company is really, really hard to do. And it may not feel that necessary early, but I do encourage people to do it because it is the foundation that you'll build your whole company on.
That's right. And I think it's primarily a tool to motivate your team around common goals, a common purpose, a common set of values. But for industries like ours that are consumer facing, where you do interact with the public in some meaningful way, that translates. I mean, we've all had customer service experience where we're talking to somebody that clearly hates their job.
Yes.
You feel that. You feel that whether it's through the phone line or across the counter or through the drive-through window, and it just doesn't feel good as a consumer. And when you're dealing with the public, and especially for us, we're dealing with people that are going through a vulnerable, frightening time in their life. We want them to feel through our communication the confidence and the purpose and the commitment we have to making sure that they're not screwed by a big insurance company. It's important. So it's important for our team. It's important for our company. It's important for our culture. But I believe also it's critically important for our clients and for companies thinking about, undertaking this endeavor. It's important for your clients as well.
Absolutely.
So as Nike would say, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. I love it. Well, with that, we'll conclude episode number 2. Wesley Cagle, thank you for attending, and congratulations on 10 years, and thank you for 10 years of service, not only to the Daniel Stark, Jonathan and I, our entire team, and the thousands and thousands of clients we've had the blessing to represent. Thank you.
It's been truly remarkable.
All right. Well, peace out. We'll see y'all on episode 3.